Well, thanks. You could thank Cha-Cha for a short homily today, hopefully. I don't know. That was funny. Today's gospel, Jesus has something to say. As usual, Jesus has something to say today about those who notice the imperfections in others. I see some heads turning to the person sitting next to them. Those who notice the imperfections of others. I'm very, very good at that. I think I got an A in that class. So people can relate to this, right? Jesus has something to say to you today. You hypocrites. Why do you notice the splinter in your brother's eye, but do not perceive the wooden beam in your own? How can you say to your brother, "Brother, let me remove that splinter from your eye," when you do not even notice the wooden beam in your own eye? You hypocrite, remove the wooden beam from your eye first. Then you will see clearly to remove the splinter in your brother's eye. Noticing the splinter in someone else's eye. A couple motivations maybe, perhaps, for noticing that. You want, by noticing that and saying something, you wanna help that, or you wanna make life easier for yourself, right? Because someone who doesn't have imperfections, life just goes easier for you, right? So there could be sort of a selfish motivation that we have for wanting to remove the splinter from other people's eyes. Or there might be a more noble motivation. Perhaps you're really concerned for your brother or sister, that the imperfections that they have are really hurting them. They're not making them happy. We all know that we're all supposed to be perfect, right? Christ said it. And perfection is about entering into joy. It's about becoming like God himself. And when we become perfect in virtues and that sort of thing, it makes us happy. So we might be motivated for others. We want them to be the best version of themselves. We want them to be happy. But the focus for Jesus and what he's telling us today is not the other person. The focus is on us. The focus is on you and me. Paying attention to what perhaps are our imperfections. And Lent, which is fast approaching, that four-letter word, is about perfection, right? It's about moving towards happiness. And Lent is a time of focusing on ourselves, right? And not the other. And the saints have a wonderful tip to give us. I don't know if you've noticed or read, some of the saints say, pay attention to what you are critical, that your criticalness towards others. What do you find imperfect about someone else? They say pay attention to that, because that gives us a clue, perhaps many times, of what we need to work on, of our imperfections. And it's like this, pay attention to what we point to, right? Because when we point to someone in blame, right, a finger is moving, pointing a certain way, but how many fingers, you've heard this before, how many fingers are pointing back to you when you point to someone? 3. 3 fingers are pointing back to you when you point to others and blame them. So the saints say, pay attention. Get in touch with what you're pointing to, because that will tell us. And Christ says that as well. It's in seeing the imperfection of others that we are helped to be able to see what we ourselves need to work on, which might humorously be even more glaring. So the best way to help others change is to change ourselves. The best way to help others change is to help ourselves. And notice that Jesus still wants us to help others, right? He says in that gospel today, he wants us to help others to become perfect, but he says, start with yourself, focus on yourself. And then you will be in a position, a more effective position, to help others. And that's what the saints have said. They said, focus on yourself, and as you become perfect, that will enable you to become a service to your brothers and sisters. So that's the simple message of one of the simple messages of our gospel today. We have a gospel where Jesus sort of is shooting from the hip, a bunch of seemingly random things he's saying. Some have said that's shiraz, which is a Jewish term for preachers rabbis who would teach. They'd just say things, brief little pithy sayings, because people couldn't keep their minds too long on one particular topic, so they would go from topic to topic. He does that in our gospel today, and I wanted to focus on that one little piece of the gospel where he says, pay attention to your own imperfections. As we move towards Lent, I encourage you to catch yourself, train yourself, catch yourself when you're being critical of others, and then think to yourself, perhaps, that is what exactly God wants you to work on this Lent.